Welcome to another episode of the Julie Goodenough Show from the ACU TV studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Owen Simpson alongside the women's basketball head coach, Julie Goodenough. Now, Coach, 1 month is already in the books for you. You're 5-1 with a couple big wins the past 2 weeks. The Wildcats are coming off a busy Thanksgiving week with a game last Tuesday, and Norman has spent the rest of their week in Portland. So again, crazy to think 1 month has already passed. What were some things that surprised you in the first month and some positives going into December?
I anticipated that we would have a really good offensive team this year. We've got some tremendous shooters, and so that's probably been the best thing that we've done is we can really put the ball in the hole. Obviously, the better teams we play, the more challenged we are with their defensive strategies, but we have some really good scoring threats. We currently have 5 players that are averaging in double digits, and so I think scouting us right now is a little bit difficult on what you're going to take away because you can't take everything away. So really pleased with how well we're sharing the ball, how we are understanding shot selection, and if our teammate has a little bit better shot than we do, we're making the extra passes. So really shooting the ball well and executing well on offense.
And we talked about this briefly on the first episode, being away from home during Thanksgiving break. And you actually got another treat this time around, going to watch the Trailblazers and Thunder play in Portland the day before Thanksgiving. What was the experience like just being together as a team and coaching staff during the holiday season?
Yeah, it was really fun. So we try to travel during Thanksgiving. I mean, that's just kind of part of Division I basketball, and we had a really good trip. We played up at OU and then went on to Oregon the next day and had a good practice there. And we're able just to have fun and kind of have an evening of entertainment by cheering on Melo his first game at home, and that was really fun. But the Trailblazers played really well, and so we were cheering for the home team. But it was fun just hanging out with our team. And when we told our players, we actually told them when we were on our trip to Wright State, we told them what we were doing in Oregon, and they got so excited. Some of them had like tears in their eyes. They were so pumped to go watch an NBA game. Probably half our team had not done that, so it was really fun.
We have a lot to get to today. We'll recap a few big games of the first month and some impressive performances early in the season. This is the Julie Goodenough Show. Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show. The ACU women's basketball team faced some tough competition in late November. Coach, November 15th was that first signature win for you on the season, taking down Wright State in Dayton, Ohio, 83-64. Going into that game, Wright State was actually ranked above you in the mid-majors. What led to your team's success that night?
Great team basketball. I felt like the way we started the game, really executing offensively, we jumped out to a big lead the first half, and that's hard to do on someone else's court. But our players did a tremendous job just really reading the defense and getting the looks that we wanted. So we had a good lead at halftime. And then the second half, we knew Wright State would come back, and they did some really nice things offensively themselves. They started scoring some in transition. They beat us on the boards and were able to score with some offensive rebound putbacks, but never got too close that it wasn't it never got too scary. I think the cushion we had in the first half really helped us sustain. That was a big-time win against a really good team. They're picked to win the Horizon League again, and very well coached, super athletic, but probably similar to some of the teams that will play in the Southland Conference. But we had not seen that kind of athleticism up to that point, so it was a good challenge for us.
And leading your team in points that game, Maddie Miller coming off the bench, 20 points in that game. Last season as a freshman, she failed to score in double figures in points. She had a lot of 9-point games. This season so far, 6 games played, she's had 3 games double-digit points. What improvement have you seen from her from year 1 to year 2?
Yeah, Maddie's one of our 5 that are averaging double digits right now. She's been really consistent about scoring and reading the defense. She spends a lot of time in the gym on her own, working on her 3-point shot, and every time she shoots, I think it's going in from the 3-point line. But she's been a really big threat for us this year, just putting the ball on the floor and driving to the basket. And she's done a good job reading whether she needs to go ahead and power up and score or kick to a teammate. So just being really aggressive and reading the defense has made her a big offensive threat for us this season.
After a blowout win against Howard Payne, last Tuesday you head to Norman to play Oklahoma. Ends up being your only loss of the month. From the coaching perspective, what were you telling your players throughout your adversity and the struggles you had in that game?
one of our biggest defensive keys, or probably the biggest defensive key, is that we have to slow down their transition offense. That's how they had been scoring most of their points in the games before we played them. And our players did a tremendous job with that. The only transition points they scored were off some turnovers that were close to half court, and they were able to score without us playing defense. So our players did a tremendous job with following through with that, key to the game, and we didn't give up easy points in transition. I felt like their OU's physical play really took us out of our game in several situations where they just blew through some of our screens, or they powered in for shots where we should have stepped up and taken charges. They out-physicaled us on the board. Up to that point, we had not been out-rebounded, and we didn't respond very well to the physical nature of their play. The greatest part about that, though, is our players believe from the very moment we started our prep for OU, they believe that we could beat OU. And that's a mindset that you want them to have, that, hey, we're going to face a Big 12 opponent. We're not scared of them. We're prepared. We're going to go hit them in the mouth and see what we can do, and try to take a game away from them on their home court. And so I was really proud of our effort. Our team played really tough. We were a little bit shorthanded with Anna McLeod getting into foul trouble. We've got a lot of different scoring weapons, but we just weren't able to get much out of her because she spent most of the game on the bench. OU's game plan was to be very physical with Bree, and they did a great job of taking us out of some of our scoring sets because they were so physical with Bree that we weren't able to get the shots that she had been getting up to that point. But I felt like our team learned a lot from that game. During the course of the game, we did not respond very well to the physical contact. But afterwards, we got to talk about it and just see what happened in that game that we could learn from. And we played a very physical team on Friday against Portland, and our players responded just very courageously. And it was really cool how those games lined up, that things we learned playing against OU helped us beat a really good Portland team.
And you mentioned Anna getting into foul trouble. That was really one of the big things that stuck out to me from the box score. 11 minutes, just 2 points. For someone who's been arguably your most consistent scorer in the first month, how did you make adjustments, putting Maddie in and putting other players in to fill that role?
Yeah, Maddie did a good job for us. Josie played in that game as well, but we just didn't get the double-digit point production that we needed from Anna. In fact, she and I we watched all of her fouls just a little while ago, and in the OU game, it was like wrong place, wrong time on a couple of those, and we just defensively, our whole team, we have to be in specific stances, specific areas on the floor so that we don't end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. And so she had a couple of those at OU, and it was detrimental for our team that she was not an option when she got into foul trouble, and then when she eventually fouled out.
And after that loss, you mentioned you didn't have a whole lot of time to prepare for the next game, but it didn't really seem like it affected you too much. Head straight to Portland after that game. How was your team able to refocus and actually come out with the win on the West Coast?
It was a great week for us, and we talked to our players about this is the longest trip that we'll take all season as far as days. We left on Monday, we got back Saturday, and it was the furthest mileage-wise as well. I mean, we did a lot of travel, and the whole week was awesome for our team. On Monday, on our way to Norman, we stopped in Chickasha and got to visit with Dominique and her family, and we had a really nice dinner with them, and members of her Kiowa tribe came to dinner and presented her with some ceremonial gifts. They are so proud of her in Chickasha and their tribe, and so it was just awesome. And we did have a setback. We lost our game at OU, but we immediately were able to go to Oregon the next day and have a good practice, and it was just really awesome, I think, for our staff to see how our players responded to our first loss. We're going to get back on the court. We're going to go really hard and figure out how to beat Portland. And basketball is awesome because you don't normally have a lot of time between games, so you can get right back out there and make up for the mistakes that you made. But the Portland is very well coached. They're playing really well right now. That was a big game for us on the road to take a win away from Portland, but just the whole week, our team responded well to whatever we were doing. We got to do a little basketball clinic with Dominique's sister's junior high team, and that was really special for us. And we had a lot of family at the OU game, a lot of family at the Portland game, and it was a pretty special week for our program. And I think that our players demonstrated that we are a veteran squad. They handled everything very maturely while just having a lot of fun and experiencing a different part of the country. And
it didn't really seem like the Thanksgiving feast hurt your team too much the day after playing Portland. You go down 9-0 early in the game, but you bounce back. What was the biggest takeaway from that win?
I think that because we have 9 juniors and seniors, we get down 9-0, and it was to a really good team. And I just felt like, we're about to put some points on the board and we're going to be fine. We just got to put the ball in the hole. We had smoked a couple of shots in the paint, and they had gone on this quick run. And then, the tide turned really quickly. And by the first media timeout, we were right there in the game. And again, I think it's just the maturity that our team showed. Portland's really good. And they were not picked very high in their league, but they have all the pieces of the puzzle that they're going to challenge some folks in the West Coast Conference. And it was a different style of play for us to see. They relied heavily on a big post player to not only be a scorer, but to be a rebounder, to be a passer, to be a playmaker. And she's just a freshman. She was really good. She's as good as advertised. And it took the whole team to try to contain her. And then they had guards that were good scoring threats off drives and three-point shots. And so it was good for our team to get hit in the mouth to start the game out with. I think that we learned a lot from that, and we didn't freak out. We just stayed the course, and before you know it, we have the lead. And so good growth by our team in that game.
And with that win, just 2 games remain until the Wildcats' first conference game of the season. We'll return in a moment to preview this week for the Wildcats. This is the Julie Goodenough Show. Welcome back to the Julie Goodenough Show. The Wildcats are back home in Moody for the first time in over 2 weeks as they're set to battle it out with Tulsa on Thursday. Last year, these two teams clashed in Tulsa. Both teams were tied at the break, but the Golden Hurricanes were able to pull away in the second half for a 75-63 win. Coach, you got another shot at Tulsa, this time with the home field advantage. Without giving too much away, what's going to be the game plan going into this one?
We've got to have some grit and toughness about us, and we're playing with that right now, but I want to see that ramped up a little bit more. I'm watching video right now on Tulsa, and they're good. They're from the American Conference. They've got athleticism. They have a big, strong post player that's just getting it done for them. When I think back about our game last year at Tulsa, we did not play tough. We were very soft. We let them manhandle us in every position. Ended up with 24 turnovers. That was the game. We didn't have the offensive possessions that we needed to score and to keep up with their rallies. And so we're going to have some grit and toughness, and everybody just own their responsibilities. If you make a mistake, it's fine. Just own it. My bad. Move on to the next play.
Last year, Tulsa's Alexis Golden went off for a game-high 24 points and 5 assists.
Yes, she did.
This year, still averaging about 10 points a game. Isn't shooting the ball very well, but still a scorer nonetheless. How do you plan on guarding her at the guard position?
Yeah, I think as Golden goes, so goes the team. She is, scoring just under 10 points a game right now, like you said, but she is, she's the glue for their team, and she's a very good distributor, really good defensive player. She's super athletic. We just had a hard time keeping her in front of us last year, and we fouled her way too much. She had 14 free throws and scored a ton of points in the paint on us. And so we can't just rely on one person to be able to guard her. It's going to take a team to guard her and to guard their post player. So team defense will be definitely a point of emphasis for us as we get ready for this game on Thursday.
And you're going to have some work covering Kendry and Elliott. Now, Elliott, you didn't play last year. She was hurt, didn't play in that loss for you all. But this year, she's been an absolute nightmare for defenders, averaging 18 points a game, 60% shooting from the field. She's also a big rebounder, 8 rebounds a game so far this season. What's the goal? What's the message for your bigs going into this game?
Yeah, Elliott is such a smart player, and she plays hard, but when you watch her play, it's just she's so smart. As soon as the defense drops their guard, she'll face cut and post you up and pin you deep. Once she catches the ball, there's not much you can do to keep her from scoring. And so a big focus for us is just figure out how to surround her, and defensively our whole team has to be aware of her. Obviously our post defenders need to play by our principles and be exactly where they need to be according to where the ball is and her position. But this is not something that one person's going to be able to contain Elliott. It's going to be a team effort for sure. You're
inching closer and closer to that conference play. It's looming near. What's been the message so far for this team, and has it accomplished that so far?
We like where we are right now, but there's so many areas we need to improve on. And in our workout this morning, it was all defensive. It was totally a defensive emphasized practice, and a couple of players came by after practice and they were like, we got better today. This is a good practice. And So I think where we are right now, offensively, we are really doing a great job with sharing the basketball and good shot selection, but defensively is an area that we really need to improve on a daily basis. And it's not just one player, it's not just one position, it's us figuring out how to play cohesively as a unit on the defensive side.
The defending Southland Conference champs look to continue their winning ways this week with a big game against Tulsa Thursday that you can watch at 5:30 on ESPN+. The men play at 7:30 against Southeastern Missouri State for a doubleheader. ASU also has a home matchup next Saturday against Schreiner. For Coach Goodenough and the ASU TV crew, I'm Owen Simpson. Thanks for watching the Julie Goodenough Show. We'll see you next time.